Hello everyone, in today's video what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing a doodle illustration. Not just any doodle illustration, I'm going to be doing a somewhat of like a mishmash of both a real life animal, a flamingo, and mix in some doodles kind of flowing down the neck. So instead of explaining it any further, let's just jump right into it. So often when it comes to creating doodles or making illustrations like this, I haven't really done doodles in quite a while, so it's quite a breath of fresh air finally coming back to a art style or type of art, like medium, a way of illustrating that I haven't done in a while, and I want to fuse like a flamingo with the same idea of like having doodles go down the neck, because I think it will give a lot of contrast and make the design look far more better and much more coherent. And I start off the entire illustration by sketching everything in a tone of pink, because I thought using that color would look very nice during the entire sketching phase. It does, and sometimes using colors to sketch out your illustrations can make it far more easier in the future when lowering down the opacity to be able to continue with the inking. I illustrated the necklace, a crown to add a little bit more personality and have it be a little bit more shown in a more artistic format. Now moving on to the doodle part, I often find it tricky sometimes with doodling, and the main reason why I can sometimes find it a little bit tricky is because there are different types of doodle styles. The one I used is much more chaotic. It's like a style that Vex uses in most cases, and the problem with this style is you often need to think of a lot of different ideas, like things to put together, things you need to mash up together, get this perspective of it overlaying correctly, coming up with a whole bunch of item ideas. And sometimes when it comes to like other illustration, like doodle illustrations, ideas do overlap where you see repeating elements of certain objects, buildings, words, letters, you name it. But I often find it quite satisfying when stuff slowly starts coming together, ideas start popping in, and you're finally able to get an idea and an image of how everything just flows together. With the inking, the brush I love using is the G Pen. If you do not know, the G Pen is a type of brush you get in most default softwares, like Clip Studio, for example, and with the G Pen, it is based off of a real-life Japanese pen where when you put a lot of pressure on the pen, it displaces more ink, and you'll be able to have a lot of control with the amount of ink you put on one page, how thick the lines are, and you can get line thickness variation. And it's such a satisfying brush to me with just using the G Pen. It has such a nice feel to it. You're able to get your lines extremely thin and thick, you're able to get sharp edges, really make the artwork become really crisp and make details look even more finer. And with inking in the past, I used to have a little bit of a struggle with inking, because getting that specific thickness and having the lines not take away from the piece, because often using black and white lines can really muddy up a piece if you do not know what you're doing. But when you're finally able to get a grip and get an understanding of how to apply line work in a way that can convey what you're trying to illustrate, it can often come together in such a way where it is pleasing to look at without it, looking muddy or looking chaotic. After the doodles are finished being sketched, I often find it quite rewarding inking the doodles after you finish it, because after you come up with all the ideas and you come up with what direction you want the doodles to go in, the items coming together, it is very rewarding. And sometimes when doodles, I like to have a theme with what I do with the doodles. With this one, I just threw a whole bunch of random things together. Didn't really have too much of an idea of what theme I wanted to follow. All I wanted to do was have a doodle illustration that was really pleasing to look at, and to be fair, I'm really proud of the outcome of what I got out of it. Now we are moving on to the coloring. With the coloring, I just experimented with different type of paint brushes in Clip Studio, because often I haven't really messed with them too much. They are useful, but I don't really have a good idea of how they function and a good idea of how they apply onto the canvas. So it's quite interesting just experimenting with like the oil paint brushes in the program, messing with them a bit, but I'm more comfortable using the airbrush tool. Because of that, you could have a little bit more finer control and able to apply far more. But with the paintbrush tools, there is a level of texture to it, so that does have its benefits. But it was really satisfying just messing with the colors and, you know, shading it to a capacity where it looks aesthetically pleasing. Now we're going to be moving on to coloring in the doodles. So with the flamingo head, I already shaded in, done all the detail. But with the doodles, we're just going to be sticking with doing flat colors, and after we lay down all the flat colors, the one thing I do want to do is get a secondary layer, lower down the opacity, get a darker shade of blues or purples, and shade that in. But first I need to concentrate on making sure all the colors kind of mix together and do not overlay in a way that doesn't look good. So I mixed in some reds, pinks, lighter pinks, orange to really have it pop out. And as you can see, moving on with the shading in, you can see I used a little bit more of a darker blue. And then I just lightened down it in another layer, just took the layer's opacity, lowered it down to move on with the shading in. Now we are nearing the end of the illustration. We are halfway there with shading it all in. Then after we shade in with all the darker colors, we're going to go in with a lighter yellow to basically add a little bit of cell shading to the outside, you know, to see where the light reflects off of the objects, to kind of make it pop out a little bit more, add a little bit more of detail. Then after I finish in with the cell shading, we're going to be throwing in some white highlights to make the shiny objects pop even more, so you can view the texture of them. Alright, so here is the fully complete illustration. Hopefully you guys like the drawing, hopefully you like the speed paint, and if you want more of me doing speed paints, please like and subscribe, and hopefully you guys can have a good rest of your day. Bye.